Another game in the reverse retros and another loss. Yet again, Montreal puts up a pitiful performance wearing the powder blues. I'm going to get into everything that happened in this game on this edition of Habs Digest. Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today's game reaction edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, and quickly before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're a returning viewer. Still haven't hit that button, which is about 70% of you. Hit it now. We have daily content and we know you'll enjoy. So, I thought things were maybe gonna look a bit better for Montreal. I'm still on Team Tank. Let's get this out of the way right away. I'm okay with the loss. You lose some, you win some, you lose some. Montreal's still sliding down the standings, and after seeing Connor Bedard, and especially his return for the Regina Pats in his last game, 6 points, 4 goals, if Montreal can get him, I'd be hyped. However, there seems to be an issue when Montreal is playing, and I'm okay with losing, but what I'm not okay with is when the guys just seem to stop giving effort, because what ends up happening is the guys just look like they're tired, they don't want to be out there, and when you're not happy, you're probably not developing as well as you could. There were some guys who I thought had good games tonight, though. Number one, right off the bat, I want to talk about my boy. I got the card here, I always do. Jake Evans. Good luck charm card. Didn't work tonight, but Jake Evans is my boy. He had over 16 minutes of ice time tonight. Part of that is because Montreal was on the penalty kill for a lot of this game. We really only had, I think, 1.5 power plays, maybe. Maybe it was 2.5, but still, we really didn't get many power play chances, but we gave up a ton of penalties. I think 3 high sticking calls. One was a double minor, a Yoel Armia boarding penalty late in the game, and it was rough. Montreal, once again, is just giving up penalties way more than the opponent, and they're getting hemmed in their defensive zone, and it leads to, no surprise, a shot total of 40-21 for Seattle. Samuel Montembeault didn't even play bad. Of the shots he faced, he made 37 saves on 40 shots. Actually, Seattle must have had 41 because the Beniers had the empty net goal there at the end. So Montembeault didn't even have a bad performance, and the goals he gave up were tough, and most of them came in the first period. What I wanted to note is it was 1-0 pretty early in the game. Again, within the first 6-7 minutes, Montreal gives up the first goal. And with 12.5 minutes left in the first period, the shots were 10-1. And then Montreal gets another penalty 2 minutes later. And it was a bit of a weak penalty, weak hook on Chris Weidman. But that led to another power play goal for Seattle. Now, to be fair, that was their only power play goal of the night. Montreal actually had a pretty good penalty kill for the latter half of this game, especially that double minor. But Daniel Sprong had a one-timer that, honestly, I thought Montembeault should have probably had. It just barely snuck between his blocker and the post, hit the post, and kind of trickled across the line. Fair enough, it was a hard shot, but I wish Monty would have had that one, because 2-0 is a lot different than 3-0. And then with 8.5 minutes left in the first period, things started to fall apart, because Montreal couldn't even pass within their own zone. And that was a big problem tonight. That continued through the whole game. I have it here on my notepad. With 8.5 minutes left in the first, I was noticing this is a big problem. We're turning it over, there's no communication, there's no chemistry between our defensemen. They're trying to pass to each other to start a breakout or even to a forward, and they're just leaving it there in the middle of the ice for Seattle to come scoop up. And it happened probably, no joke, 5 to 10 times this game, which is unacceptable, especially at the NHL level. I don't know what it is. Chris Weidman had a couple of them himself. I know that not having Mike Matheson and not having Caden Gooley is definitely tough on these young defensemen. But boy, even with that, you can't be making those mistakes. And at that point, with 8.5 minutes left, the shots were 15-1 for Seattle. Montreal could get absolutely nothing going at all. Penalties were hurting them, but they just, not even just penalties, there was no momentum getting into the offensive zone until a couple minutes left. And at this point, it's 3-0. I think it was, I don't know if Vince Dunn got credit for that goal after or not. It might have been tipped in front. I think it might have gone off a Habs player. But they go up 3-0. And late in the first, we finally saw some life. And we had Slav, who at this point had been playing pretty well in this game. He had a nice tip pass to Christian Dvorak for a breakaway at one point. And he had a breakaway himself where he just couldn't quite get enough on the shot to get it over Martin Jones. But he looked really good. He looked fast. He looked physical. But then as the game progressed, Montreal just kind of never got the momentum. Yeah, we're used to seeing Montreal, maybe if they have a bad first, they bounce back with a good second. And to be fair, the second was probably their best period. But even then, in their best period, there was no goals in the second period at all. Montreal had another bad power play, but they were getting outshot really, really badly early in the period. And then, of course, they had the moment where I knew this game was over. It was Suzuki, Caulfield, and I think Doc. I forget who was on the right wing, but regardless, it was definitely Suzuki and Caulfield on a 3-on-1. And Suzuki takes a good shot, but Jones makes the pretty easy pad save, and that was that. It was our chance to really get some momentum back, get back in this game. It was about halfway through the second, and it was just nothing. Our three best guys up there with one defenseman, we couldn't get anything out of it. I know 3-on-1s aren't as easy as they look. I know you're not always going to score. In fact, probably not even the majority of the time, but they looked dejected after that didn't work. And not too long after, well, actually a decent bit after, later in that period, Josh Anderson gets a 4-minute double minor for a high stick. And at that point, it was like, okay, Montreal's going to have a fire third period or they're not going to do anything. And then in the third, like, they had a good 4-minute penalty kill. Actually, at the end of the second, there was a big scrum where Jake Evans, the guy who was all over this game tonight, he was amazing offensively and defensively. He, like, tackles Daniel Sprong for poking at Samuel Montembeault after the whistle. Jake Evans was our boy tonight. He was fighting for everyone. His effort tonight was probably twice as high as anyone else on the ice. I gotta give props to him. He's probably who I've put in the thumbnail. I'm not sure on that, but because I haven't made it yet, but he's got to be up there. Like, he had such a good game tonight, probably close to a season high in ice time too. But we had a good 4-minute penalty kill, and then the third, Slav continued to play well. I thought he had a lot of good chances, some nice one-time shots. Just his playmaking looked really good tonight. It was weird, like his head was up way more than I'm used to. He was seeing the play happening ahead of him, which is something that I'm really excited to see for him, because that's one of the big drawbacks, is that he wasn't able to keep his head up, think ahead of the play. He just kind of reacted. That's what some people have been saying. I don't really know if I bought into that fully, but definitely keeping his head up when he makes a pass is a big issue. But tonight he was able to see plays before they happen. His positioning was really good, so I wanted to shout out Slav. As for the rest of the team, it was brutal. There was nothing really going. Kirby Dach looked good again. Edmondson looked okay tonight for a while. It was like halfway through this game, maybe like at some point in the second period, maybe even early third, Joel Edmondson was leading the team in shot attempts. And I think after the game, I think Caulfield might have come out on top. He definitely had more shots. I think Caulfield had 4 to Edmondson's 3 at the end of the game. But regardless, Edmondson should never be leading your team in shots on target. That's just brutal, but it's something we've seen a lot from Montreal. We like to fire these point shots on net, especially with the likes of Jack Gooley and Edmondson. These guys like to put pucks on net, and that's been our offensive strategy when we can't get anything going because our depth lines are not performing well. And, you know, late in the game, it just felt like the Habs were dead. Armia gets a boarding call, which Vince Dunn turned at the last second, but Armia followed all the way through on the hit, which he didn't seem to let up, so whatever, give it to him. But after that, I gotta say again, our boy Jake Evans did it again. He went in for a fight. He fought. It wasn't the best fight in the world, but he was landing 1 or 2 punches, and just the fact that he's stepping in to fight after tackling Daniel Sprong earlier in this game, eating monster minutes on the penalty kill. He was our best player tonight, the most effort tonight, the guy that I want to highlight, him and Juraj Slafkovsky, because to be honest, the rest of the team just really didn't get anything going, didn't get anything done at all, except for Montembeault. Montembeault was good too, I will say. He was solid tonight. Maybe 1 goal he maybe could have had, but other than that, like, when your goalie puts up 37 saves, you got to put up a better effort than scoring 0 goals on 21 shots. And that 21, like, it was 18 for most of the third. It was just a few shots with the empty net where we couldn't capitalize that brought that up to 21. We actually had a good chance with about 3 minutes left when it was 3-0. It was Suzuki and Caulfield right to Suzuki on the doorstep, but Jones made a really good save, his hardest save of the night, and he shut the door for the shutout. So, what to take away from this game? I'm not really sure, because it's a game like we've seen before, or during the losing streak, before we won our last game against St. Louis. That game against St. Louis felt like, holy crap, these guys have found their offensive stride again. These guys are playing with a lot more effort. They're looking good. But what I'm taking away is that these jerseys are cursed. I know it's an excuse, it's whatever, but just join me. Can you guys just join me and say these jerseys are cursed? We don't count this game. Because it's Seattle. Yeah, they're a good team. They're up there, I think, top 3 in the NHL in goal differential. They're a very solid team, especially defensively. But Montreal, like, even against a team as good as Seattle, that is just not a performance you want to see from your guys. But hey, you know what? At the end of the day, it's Team Tank, right? Team Tank. You guys are... Can I play that? There we go. You guys are still with me. I'm still with you guys. I want the tank to go on. So at the end of the day, I'm not that upset with this game because we have some positives. Our boy Jake Evans was phenomenal. Juraj Slafkovsky really looked like he stepped up his game. Sam Monty had a good game in net. But at the end of the day, we lose 4-0. Yeah, I wish we could have got a Caulfield goal, a Suzuki point duck, something like that. But I can't be too upset because some guys put in a good effort, and on a given night, as long as some guys are doing well and we can take something positive away from these brutal losses, I'm happy, and you guys probably should be too. But that'll do it for this game reaction edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave the video a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want. These videos are doing really well. You guys are helping us out every single day when we post, so we're really grateful for that. I'm your host, Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next video.